Tarik Skubal is one of the most exciting starting pitchers that baseball has ever seen, throwing up to 102 miles an hour and outsmarting some of the best hitters in the game. So it's no surprise that in the span of a single year, he became a superstar for the Tigers and took home his very first Cy Young Award. However, Skubal's incredible rise to fame did not come easily, as he was often overlooked and dealt with countless setbacks along the way. Which is why, to really understand his story, we need to go back to where it all started in the first place. He was raised in Kingman, Arizona, starting his baseball journey at a very young age. And it was thanks to this early start that he would develop into a standout player by the time he made it to high school. As a senior, he stood at 6'3", weighing 215 pounds, allowing him to throw up to 91 miles an hour on the mound. However, despite his dominance, Skubal would fail to draw the attention of scouts or colleges, as he played in a relatively small town without much competition. So, unfortunately, he would only receive one serious offer from Seattle University, a school that was not only extremely far from Arizona, but also home to a fairly unimpressive baseball program. Nonetheless, this was his only chance to play at a Division I college, and he eventually agreed, meaning that at just 17 years old, he would be moving across the country to pursue his lifelong dream of reaching MLB. But what he didn't know at the time was that the next few years would be the most difficult stretch of his entire life. After putting up solid numbers as a freshman, Skubal was confident that he could dominate the same way he did in high school. And the following year, his fastball was reaching up to 95 miles an hour thanks to his new training program. Though, unfortunately, he was about to face his biggest challenge yet. Because during that year, he would begin to experience pain in his pitching arm. And throughout the season, this feeling would only get worse, to the point where even warm-ups became difficult. This would leave him with no choice but to get it checked out, and the results were devastating. Skubal had torn his UCL, forcing him to undergo Tommy John surgery, a procedure that would cause him to miss the entirety of his junior season. And because of this, Skubal was almost entirely overlooked in the 2017 draft, falling to the 29th round before finally getting picked by the Diamondbacks. So just like that, his future in baseball was suddenly in jeopardy, with no guarantee that he would ever be the same pitcher he once was. However, despite this setback, Skubal made it clear that he was not giving up on baseball, later saying this: "It was what I wanted to do. Nobody was going to tell me different." Eventually, he would make it back to the field in 2018, opting to return to college for his final season rather than signing with Arizona. And surprisingly, he came back even stronger, consistently throwing mid-90s and striking out more hitters than ever. Although, there was one major issue. After missing more than a year, he struggled to locate his pitches, resulting in over 6 walks every 9 innings. So when he re-entered the draft in 2018, he once again went later than expected, ultimately going to the Tigers in the 9th round. Still, this was his opportunity to prove himself, and over the next few years, he would transform into one of the top prospects in all of baseball. In June of 2018, Skubal made his professional debut, recording an insane 0.4 ERA across 3 different levels. And 2019 was more of the same, with Tarik using his fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup to strike out almost half the hitters he faced. So at this point, the Tigers were beginning to realize his true potential, with one scout saying this: "He's quickly proved to be one of the draft's biggest steals, with a dominant first full season that saw him rack up a ton of strikeouts." By 2020, he had been upgraded to the number 5 prospect for the Tigers, after being unranked just a few years ago. And after an impressive showing in spring training, the team decided that it was time to give him a chance. But following his debut in August, it became clear that he still had a lot to work on. But first, I want to give a quick thanks to Underdog for sponsoring today's video. Underdog is one of the leading places to make all of your sports picks, and it's super easy to play. All you have to do is download the app and choose either higher or lower on a player's stats. And if you pick correctly, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. For baseball, you can choose from pretty much any stat like strikeouts, total bases, and much more, but you can also make picks for other sports as well. Last month, I was able to 3x my money with my picks, so I'm hoping these next ones will do just as well. Now, Underdog is available in over 30 states, and the best part is that you can play with as little as $1. So if you want to join the millions of other players on Underdog who have already left over 100,000 5-star reviews, make sure to sign up with promo code AVERAGE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. And again, all you have to do is download the Underdog app to start making picks today. His first major league start did not go as expected, as he would allow 4 runs in just 2 innings. And a month later, he would have an even worse outing, giving up 6 runs before once again lasting only 2 innings. Overall, he would put up an abysmal 5.63 ERA in his first 8 appearances, and looking back, it's obvious why he was struggling. You see, throughout his entire life, Skubal had relied almost entirely on his fastball, and he was still using it almost 60% of the time. But as you can tell, this was not gonna work in MLB, because no matter how hard he threw, hitters were always able to catch up.
I think it took a little bit of time to understand, I love my fastball. I still love my fastball, but guys hit fastballs in 2-0 counts right down the middle. I just kept challenging guys, and I love that about myself. I'm gonna keep doing that. But maybe let's be a little bit smart, challenge a guy with a slider. It doesn't always have to be the fastball that you challenge a guy with.
This realization led Skubal to significantly reduce his fastball usage the following season, allowing him to become much more comfortable throwing his other pitches. And as a result, he began to show flashes of dominance, like on June 5th, when he recorded a career-high 11 strikeouts. But still, he was far from dominant in 2021, giving up around 2 home runs every 9 innings. So in 2022, he continued making adjustments, working every single day to improve his pitches, which eventually began to pay off, as in May, he was able to go 21 consecutive innings without allowing a single run. However, just when he was starting to figure things out, he would experience yet another setback. At the beginning of the year, Skubal made it clear that his #1 priority was to avoid injuries, saying this: "For me, the goal I have every year is to be healthy and take care of my body so I am able to pitch." However, despite his best efforts, he would once again start to feel pain in his pitching arm. And because of this, he needed to undergo surgery that would end his season, meaning that for the second time in his life, Skubal had suffered a serious injury that kept him off the field. And as you can imagine, many began to worry about his future. Nonetheless, Skubal was not shaken, as he had been in this situation before, and in 2023, he would come back better than ever. He would spend the entire offseason restoring his strength and optimizing his pitching motion by tracking his movements. So when he finally retook the mound in July, he was a completely different pitcher. For one, he displayed a massive improvement in terms of command, resulting in less walks and more strikeouts. Secondly, he was only using his fastball 36% of the time, a significant improvement when compared to near 60% his first year. And finally, despite the injury, Skubal was throwing harder than ever. These changes would help him dominate in the second half of the season, and in September, he was named the American League Pitcher of the Month after going 4-0 with a 0.9 ERA. So, with more confidence than ever, Skubal was ready for 2024, although no one could have predicted what would happen next. Skubal picked up right where he left off, going 3-0 in April while posting a 2.05 ERA, and on July 7th, he would shatter his previous record by recording 13 strikeouts in a game against the Reds. He was finally showing complete confidence in all of his pitches, including his fastball, slider, and sinker, but the biggest difference maker was his changeup. The pitch starts out similar to his fastball, but at the very last moment, it suddenly drops over 30 inches. And because of this, it causes hitters to swing and miss at an extremely high rate, leading Skubal to say this: "It's been a huge pitch for me. It's kind of changed my career." So after pairing this with a fastball that was now surpassing 100 miles an hour, he was quickly becoming one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. But to make things even more difficult for hitters, his command had only gotten better.
Count leverage is everything. I think when you get ahead, first pitch strikes, 0-1, 0-2, guys are uncomfortable, and then the next time they start seeing that you're throwing strikes, then they start swinging a lot more.
That year, Skubal was selected as an All-Star for the first time in his career, and by the end of the season, he was leading MLB in strikeouts with 228. So, just 1 year after returning from surgery, he was crowned as the unanimous winner of the Cy Young Award. And maybe even more notably, he won the American League Triple Crown. But still, this was only the beginning of his time in the spotlight. Throughout the first couple months of 2025, Skubal posted the highest strikeout percentage of any starting pitcher, while also having the lowest walk percentage. And on May 25th, he would have the performance of his lifetime against the Guardians. That game, he threw a complete game shutout with 13 strikeouts, and did so with only 94 pitches. However, what's even more impressive is that he managed to throw 102.6 miles an hour on the final pitch of the game. In the span of just a few years, Skubal transformed into the most dominant pitcher in baseball, and despite dealing with several setbacks along the way, he's come back better every single time. So for now, it's safe to say that Tarik Skubal is one of the most exciting pitchers in baseball, and he definitely has the potential to be one of the greatest of his generation.